Alright, so I'll be making a video today talking about all my World of Warcraft settings and hotkeys and macros. And I'll just be quickly going over what we have here. So this is a minimap button. It makes the minimap macros nice and orderly. I can look at my bank anywhere in the world with Bank Checker. I've got Atlas Loot to see the best gear I could possibly get from the best raids. Alright, we got all the good stuff here. Details, damage meter, and threat. And do whatever you want with it. This is what I use for distributing loot in my raid. Item rack. Very awesome item. Or add-on. I can equip a healing set with healing power, drink a flask, and then go back to doing damage in 1 second. And the flask ticks for 329 because my healing set is kind of weak. But dude, you can get it up to like 1,000. 1,000 health. It's like 200 health a second. Not bad. Okay. I've got a Ragnaros set. I've got a DPS fire resist set. DPS. Some lifestealing shenanigans here. A tank set. This has got 7% hit rating on it. That's why I'm doing that. And that's it. Rested XP is just a questing, routing add-on, the fastest in the business. Questy is a do-it-yourself add-on for questing. You know that one. Pally Power, I may remove this because I don't use it as my warrior, but that's okay. Nova World Buffs hasn't proved to be too useful, except that it tells me what layer I'm on. Nova Instance Tracker tells me the dungeons that I have done. All I've done is Zul'Farrak, man. That's all I've ever done. And then probably the best add-on here is Bulletin Board. You can join groups, buy summons, post groups. Let's see. Use 13. That is this slot right here. This item slot. So if I change the macro, or if I change the item in this item slot, yeah, 13 changes here. So now it's a chicken. There you have it. So that updates my hotkey as I change my macro. So I do Alt X and Alt C for my two trinkets here. This stats here is called Deja Character Stats. It lags a bit, so I was thinking about upgrading to another add-on, but this one's, it's serving its purpose. It's showing me a lot of the stats that Classic WoW doesn't show you. I think I have a runes add-on to see it like this, but I don't even know. Okay, I use Button Forge to create action bars on my screen of any shape, any size that I want. I put 6 down here. I put a potion belt like from Diablo 3 here, so I'm willing to change this one all the time. Put arcane potions here, whatever have you. I click these, to be honest. I click them because I have like too many hotkeys, and I don't like the modifier hotkeys. Like Shift R is pretty much as far as I go. I don't like Alt buttons too much. I don't like Control keybinds. I feel like they're slower or clumsy. This is just a preference. It's kind of not true. Like I should just be able to play with the more advanced things going on here. So my gear, tons of fires this gear for tanking and for DPS. I'll be wearing the 6-piece might. I'm not gonna wear 8-piece. It's just 7 right now, so I'll have to do some modifications. Once I get the bracers of might, my gear will change a bit. I believe the 3-set Eskandars is best in slot with offhand Brutality Blade. I don't think I'll be getting Brutality Blade, but I'll have to bring it up with the guild, what their opinion is. So this bag is normally an empty bag, and in my bank I have this bag here, which normally has 20 consumables in it, and I just swap them. I go like this, I drag the bag, and I put it over this one, which would be here, bink, and it just swaps the whole bag over. So, I don't have my consumables ready for raid. Swap bag, now I do. I'm ready to raid, and then I go to raid. So it lets me have some inventory space while I'm playing normally. I have too much junk in my inventory, but all this stuff is like possibly useful. It's like item rearrangements, really peculiar items that have obscure effects that may or may not be useful one time, in the future. Removing a bleed. A boss does an overpowered bleed effect. Now I can get rid of it. 1% hit rating trinket. How many of those are in the game? Horde has one. They got the Warsong emblem. I remember that thing being OP. I'm keeping the Wailing Berserker set. 3% multi-hit has a possibility of just being another dimension of DPS that isn't the same thing as item level. In terms of dealing more damage, got a Ribbon Spike, got hit rating gear up the wazoo, crit rating gear, alternative items for if I don't need hit rating and I need 1% crit. There it is. Keeping this item. If my gear, if warrior gear gets to like 100% critical strike chance, then Edgemaster's handguards will come out of left field as a useful item. That is honestly something that's reasonable, because when I'm on my own, I have 39% crit. In raid, I have like 80% crit. So I can definitely foresee 100% critical strike rating in the future if Blizzard doesn't do something about it. Oh. I got frost weapons, peculiar mitigation gear, world buffs ready for raid, more of them, weird items everywhere, sunshades because I'm too cool for school. So if I really needed to get inventory space for something, I could destroy like probably 3 of these bags and I would be okay, right? Because really, you just need the gear on your back to go to raid. Because like, if I wanted to minimize it, probably destroy all this nature res, all this shadow res, this frost resist gear. Like, who cares, bro? I could just get rid of it if I needed to. Alright, we're going to keep going. Now we're going to go into the warrior only stuff, which is this macro here. Battle stance, overpower, berserker stance. Right here. I'm actually, you know what? I don't know why, I'm taking that out right now. This is foolish here. Battle stance, berserker stance. It's the same. It's one keybind right here, and it just alternates between the two. The purpose of this is to maintain the duration of the 6 set here. You just have to switch stances twice in between auto attacks. You just need a 1-second window to do that in between globals and your auto attacks. I'm using the same speed weapon, so it's actually possible, but 2 different speed weapons makes it a little hard. You're probably going to end up destroying some rage. Capping it at 25, right? That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Every 10 seconds, I do this. That's it. And then dealing damage to a raid boss, I'm always heroic striking. If there's 2 targets, I'm always cleaving. Single target priority is probably Bloodthirst or Slam. I'm still trying to figure that out. If somebody knows for sure, because I know that world buffs change how it works. That like your character's scaling determines different things. Here's a nice little factoid. My offhand damage on my weapon is the same DPS as my main hand. They're the exact same item, right? Mostly for damage, speed and damage. My attack power applies to both my main hand and my offhand. My main hand is dealing 412. My offhand is doing 337. This is 2/3. Wait. Oh, I'm tripping. Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm gonna do some quick math here. Oh, so main hand, offhand. All right, so I don't know all this what's happening here, but my offhand is dealing 84% of the damage my main hand deals. So like Slam hits for 1.84% of an auto attack is what it looks like. Now, Bloodthirst deals 45% of your attack power plus 10% damage because of this one. If you use it, I think Rampage is probably better, but I've been using Wrecking Crew because of the longer fights. The longer fights being Baron and Ragnaros. I felt that those were the challenging fights. So this increasing your DPS on shorter fights, I didn't care. I could change the runes in between bosses, but it's a lot of work to lead a raid and make sure everyone's doing the big things right before I can even do the small things right on my own character. Dude, this fucking bug where items turn gray, bro. Fucking so triggering, dude. I have no idea what causes it. Charge macro cancels Aura Blood Rage here. Very nice to have. Cast Battle Stance Charge. Very good. I don't need Warbringer. Let's see. I put Heroic Strike on my Execute button here because that's what you need to do. You need to be Heroic Striking. So if you have a Heroic Strike, okay, ready, nothing happens. When you press it, it is currently highlighted. We're going to call this Heroic Strike Highlight. When Heroic Strike is highlighted, your offhand attack gets dodged, parried, and misses less. Okay? That is why you're always Heroic Striking or always cleaving. Not gonna attack that long. Now, if you use different speed weapons, okay? Jesus Christ, stupid add-on doesn't know shit. Okay, this is more important than same. It's the same importance. It's the same. So, right before I attack, I Heroic Strike. Now, if I do this, shorten the amount of highlighted time, it's bad because the offhand is missing. You need to be a low. You need to be a dumb warrior, where you just do this. Okay, this is the best way to do cleave. There's nothing else to think about. Cleave. Alright. I'm utilizing the 2 set for more rage. Only cleaving. Okay. There you have it. Whirlwind becomes your best spell when it hits 2 targets. I prioritize Whirlwind over Bloodthirst and Slam on 2 targets, because if you let's say you have a Slam proc, I'm willing to waste it because, and the reason you waste it is because Whirlwind is procking Bloodthirst or Blood Surge here, so I don't want to push Whirlwinds 1.5 seconds down the road more and more just so that I can get 1 Slam off. I waste Slam procs and just Whirlwind every 10 seconds on 2 or more targets. That's it. Always keeping Battle Shout up, always keeping Command and Shout up. Red Paladins are always putting Demoralizing Shout on the target. They have a talent for that. Thunderclap is applied by Homunculi in the current patch. I don't think anybody else is doing that. So if you want attack speed slow on the boss, you need to make a warrior do it. And I think it's worth it for mana, for healers, for tankiness, for tanks. But you don't have to use it. Like, if you don't need tankiness, you don't need to do it. That's how I look at it. But if you do need tankiness, you need to do it. There's a third component to the set, to the 6 set here, which is defense. I don't use it ever. I don't for raiding. Never. I have this funky macro for Fury tanking, which is alternating between offensive stance back to defensive stance. Offensive stance, defensive stance. It just does this. So it's doing defensive stance like half the time, and then battle and berserker a quarter of the time each. And if the stance ever gets stuck, it casts defensive stance. Okay. So make sure it works properly. Show it again here. You saw it. You saw it. All right. A lot of dungeon group finding macros. I was experimenting with stance dancing, putting them in the macros, but I noticed that it destroyed rage very often. This was in the hopes to maximize the 2 set rage generation, but you just don't need it. The rage gen is there. With the amount of damage we're dealing, it's enough. The literal damage value you deal being higher generates more rage. When you deal less damage, you get less rage, which is pretty weird, but that's how it works. A lot of dungeon finding macros. So on my weapon equip macro, I equip sword and shield, and its stop casting is for canceling heroic strike Q to equip the weapons, because if your heroic strike is Q'd, you cannot equip a weapon. So you have to have that in the macro. There it is. There it is again. I put shield block on my shield thing, because you probably have max rage when you get aggro and you're panicking, putting your shield on. Very simple stuff. Putting the stance on the ability. So berserker stance with pummel, because berserker stance can only be casted, or sorry, pummel can only be casted in berserker stance. So some spells only have 1 stance. Bloodthirst, all stances. So you just don't have it. You just don't have it on that macro. Start attack. It's important to me. Cast Slam, start attack. Berserker Stance, intercept. Yep. This is a macro for item rack. Get this macro, get this add-on, make the sets, figure out. I'm not going to show you how to use the add-on entirely. Make a set, put the set name into this macro, and you can do this too. So I'll show you how fast I can drink a flask. So I've got flask on. Healing power gear, drink a flask. See? And then 1 second, put the DPS gear on. Whoa! And I got an OP health regen thing. I may start doing this in my raids. The problem is this healing causes more threat. So maybe I won't be doing that because I've been pulling aggro. Got to get my tanks to be generating more threat. I'll help them out. No problem. QSR is BIS. Need a Brutality Blade. I need a QSR. Need the bracers. I think that's all I need for Molten Core. Maybe an Onslaught Girdle. There's quite a few items. So I think that's all I need to show for my warrior here. It is a lot of work to put together a warrior from scratch. If you don't look at guides, which I do not. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a cool thing. Weak auras is something that can play the game for you, and I believe that there is an evil way to use weak auras to ruin your own World of Warcraft experience, and I am good at avoiding that. I believe. For example, I probably won't be putting boss abilities on my weak auras. That's probably wrong. So instead, I've got some design philosophy I believe is pretty good. So when you're in the raid, you get 50 buffs, and it only shows like 3 or 4 rows of buffs, and the rest of the buffs look like they get pushed off the buff table here, but it just can only show so many, and that's annoying. So you could put like, I have to do something about this because it's just a big block of fucking nothing information. I need an add-on that consolidates this better. Okay, here is a weak aura that I created, had some help creating it. Battle Shout, Commanding Shout, Valor of Azeroth, and the 6 set for Warrior, being 4 weak auras, 3 of them for the 6 set, and 1 of them for the 2 set. The 4 set, I literally ignore entirely. I think it's like it has some use, but I don't think about it no matter what. I do not care. It's like it's not even in the game as far as I'm concerned. So I change stances. I gain a buff over here, but it's a fucking mess up here. There's like a bunch of shit going on. So I organized it down here because I really need to know and maintain 100% uptime with this buff. Okay? And then this is the 10 rage ready to be spent button. Sometimes I look at it, sometimes I don't. It depends on the scenario. Okay? Weak auras for Commanding Shout, Battle Shout, and Valor of Azeroth. I put a weak aura on it that puts a highlight when I don't have the buff. So it's suggesting that, hey, cast this buff. Bing. And then the swirly goes away. Swirly goes away. There you go. And then that's pretty good. I feel like that's a phenomenal weak aura. It's got like a psychological element to me seeing the swirly and then pressing it, but it's not overbearing giant shiny particles in the middle of my screen dictating the entire way I play the game. It's just a hint of helpful interface change. I don't want to completely overhaul. Oh, this box in the bottom right, this is whack. This is for multi-boxing. Useless to be honest so far. I'm gonna get rid of it. We got the damage meters here. I have a weak aura that I downloaded online for showing me target HP and percentage. I think Classic doesn't have that. This is Warcraft logs on my computer. I don't use it. I just use the website, so I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't think it's worth it. The in-game thing I don't like. So. But I'll use the website instead. So Warrior doesn't like to change targets, similar to Rogue now, because we have 10% attack speed that we lose from changing targets. So you try not to change targets if you can help it. That's how you use this one. Just put the weapon on, easy. Rampage is for short duration fights. I don't know if this is even better in long duration fights, but it is the lazy alternative. Sudden death is way better than fresh meat when your gear is bad. Eventually fresh meat becomes better as all of your gear gets better, as the 10% damage amplification helps a lot in amplifying your gear, but the execute doesn't really scale with gear, so sudden death falls off eventually. Rally Cry is the instant health alternate option. It also can save your entire raid. Enraged Regen is more health when you're solo, but it's not instantaneous. This one makes your Whirlwind do more damage with offhand hits. This could be better on, like, I don't know how many targets you have to hit. It's like eight targets, more than that, for it to be better than Whirlwind offhand hits. Focused Rage is a tank warrior thing. Always Blood Surge otherwise. Even when you're AoEing and not using Heroic Strike, still Bloodthirst and Whirlwind give you slam procs. It's still better than these two. Only Raging Blow. Free spell. Filler spell, better than Hamstring. I use Warbringer when I tank Ragnaros, so I can charge him in combat more easily. Sometimes he hits you. He hits you far away. He does a knockback more often than 30-second cooldown of intercept. I think Vigilance is insane. It is awesome to steal somebody's threat. It puts a 20% threat difference between you and them. It always scales with gear. Now 10% more threat is better than the Vigilance. Except the thing is, everyone doesn't deal the same damage. Usually there's one person in the raid pulling threat, so Vigilance is better for threat always. But Vigilance doesn't deal more damage. Shield Mastery deals more damage. So I think once your threat is stable and you don't have to make changes, then you want to go Shield Mastery. I don't use Rend because it can't crit, so it sucks. Rend doesn't do enough damage. Rend does like about the same damage as like one Bloodthirst. But Bloodthirst can crit. I use Endless Rage because sometimes it helps. That's all the runes. Easy peasy. 20 fire resistant chance or OP. I'll get the 15 fire res on my shoulders soon. I think that's it. Oh, I got 3 gold to my name. 3 gold.
Need more rage.
I think that's all I want to say for Warrior for now. Kind of just give some random tips and helpful things. I guess I'll give the weak auras to my guildies if they want them. I don't even know how to post a weak aura, but I may figure that out. Always minor movement speed. There are so many area of effect spells in World of Warcraft and range checks that there isn't one spell that you need this for, which means you can definitely cut it for like the 7 agility. But 7 agility is giving me 0.35% crit, which is 1/3 of 1%. So it's not much at all crit, and I don't care to have it. I feel that the movement speed will be more useful when I'm not thinking about it, just like the agility crit will be when I'm not thinking about it. Hitting a target dummy like a patchwork boss, the agility is going to be better. Yeah. You might get one more crit, maybe 2 or 3 more crits in a fight. But there's enough mechanics where the movement speed is better. Also, if your raid gets really good, you need movement speed to run through the raid. That means from the start of the entrance, through the trash, to bosses, more trash, more bosses, more trash, more bosses, to clear the raid. So movement speed, if you were a speedrunner, there's no 7 agility is not an alternative. The movement speed is better for a speedrun, for example. So whatever. I'm doing movement speed. That's what I believe is the best. I think that's all for now. Oh, really cool thing I did. This may be really obvious to people, but I had never done it. I had always put the defensive stance with the defensive ability, or vice versa, berserker stance and battle stance with their appropriate charges on the same macro. But what I've done for my prot spec is I have put defensive stance in front of Sunder. I will literally never cast Sunder unless I'm in defensive stance, which is a little problem I solved with the Devastate rune, causing some problems. Similarly, I will never cast Thunderclap unless I'm in defensive stance, even though the rune is unlocking Thunderclap from the stance requirement. The reason I did this is because I need the threat gen from Thunderclap to be higher. So I go defensive stance, I cast Thunderclap. Always. So that's something I did, very cool. I still use Whirlwind in defensive stance. I get those nice Deathbringer whirlwinds with the slowest possible weapon. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, Prot Paladins. Get a slow weapon. Parry haste, better. Whirlwind, Wind Fury, better. Judgment hits harder, more damage. Why would you use a fast weapon? You don't. There's no reason. The Seal the Martyr based on DPS. Okay. Get a slow weapon on your paladin. You don't need 10 defense to do no damage. You need a slow weapon so you can do more threat. Block value on a warrior. Fucking useless. I throw it away at every opportunity for hit rating, defense rating, anything at all. I throw it away. Except for this trinket, because it gives stamina and fire resist. I don't use it for the defense thing, for the active. I guess I should wear this one then, huh? I guess it is still damage, right? So now I will straw man my idea. Okay. One block value is plus 1 damage to shield slam. Alright. 2 attack power is plus 1 damage to Bloodthirst. So you see that block value is twice as good. 14 attack power is 3 damage on a Deathbringer. It's actually 2.9 damage. Wow, so that means that shield block value is making shield slam hit incredibly hard. Additionally, when you crit, it's times 2.2 plus deep wounds. Right? 2.2 being impale. So you get some nasty crits if you have lots of block value. I made a character on the PTR and I stacked all the defense might gear, and the highest block value I could get to was like 160. That's the best you can do. It was like 200 block value, maybe if you get some obscure items. 200 block value plus the Broodmother's Brooch here. But that's the biggest you can get shield slam hits, is plus 300. So that means it can't be that. It's dog shit. It's garbage. Unfortunately, there's not enough block value in the game for this to do enough. Now, it could get out of hand. It has done it before. Wrath of Lich King did some weird shit with block value. We'll see if they do it again. We'll see what happens. But because block value doesn't do enough, I don't use it. That's it. For Warrior. For Warrior. I would think I'm gonna finish eating these crunchy candies I got here. I think it was a pretty good video. I think I'm happy with that. Showing people some tricks and tips to improve their DPS. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See ya.